It must have been close to midnight when the artillery battery commander told me that the infantry and our men were running low on small arms ammunition and directed me to take a driver and go back to the rear until I found an ammo resupply point or a unit that could spare some. A driver and I rode back toward Tegu and found an ammo supply point in a riverbed. We loaded the Jeep down and started the 4-mile drive back to A Battery. Action had picked up quite a bit, and the light rain had started to fall. The traffic was bumper to bumper, all driving with blackout lights, as most of the road was only wide enough for one-way traffic. Green tracer, or enemy bullets, were flying from one side of the valley, and red tracers, ours, from the other side, over the road. We would drive about 100 yards and then have to stop while the road ahead was cleared. During one of the stops, 4 men stepped out of the dark carrying rifles right alongside of our Jeep. The driver and I both made a grab for our weapons and almost immediately realized they were Southern Korean or Republic of Korea troops. I must admit that I was scared and kept my hand on my weapon for the rest of the 1-hour trip. Our vehicles took a beating. Many bullet holes, windshields, and radiators punctured and numerous flat tires. We didn't have time and couldn't risk taking radiators off for proper repair, so my first mechanic, Wally, improvised by pouring Prince Albert tobacco into the radiator to help plug the leaks caused by shrapnel. It worked for weeks. We just had to keep adding tobacco and water. I read later that the bowling alley battle cost the enemy an estimated 5,690 killed, 13 T-34 tanks, plus all its 120 millimeter mortars, 76 millimeter howitzers, and anti-tank guns. The U.S. 27th Infantry Regiment, Wolfhounds, had 17 killed in action, 88 wounded in action, and 4 missing in action. The 8th Field Artillery lost 8 killed in action, 32 wounded in action, and 2 missing in action. About this time, we began receiving 1 daily can of hot issue beer. Back in the U.S., the Women's Temperance Union and other anti-alcohol groups succeeded in stopping this issue on the grounds that many soldiers were underage. I never understood the rationale for this objection. Old enough to kill and die, but too young for beer. In late August, we began receiving Korean soldiers to replace our losses, those killed or evacuated due to wounds. They weren't trained and understood no English. They were called Katusas, Korean augmentation to the U.S. Army. I'm not sure, but each section in A Battery received at least 1 Katusa. Our commander told us to treat them with respect and to teach them all they could absorb. I had 2 in my section, and despite the language barrier, they worked out very well, even under enemy fire. General Walker, 8th Army Commanding General, ordered the 27th Regimental Combat Team to return to the Masan perimeter to plug a hole in the defense and back up the 24th Infantry Regiment and ROK troops fighting in the area of Battle Mountain and Sobuksan. The howitzers of A Battery were set up in a dry rice paddy with a road to the back and along one side. Some of the drivers and I manned a roadblock a short distance from the guns, and every now and then an infantryman or 2 would come down the road headed for the rear. Some would stop and spend time with us. Most were looking for the medics. One sergeant from the 24th Infantry told me, "The brave ones is done dead." That pretty much summed up the war for him.